I'm Alex.
I'm Tal.
I'm Ryan.
And this is our final project for BUL3130, Legal and Ethical Environment of Business. So for our final project, we decided to interview the manager of Vesper, which is a local coffee shop on Alafaya. The manager of Vesper, his name is Eduardo Su, also known as Ed. And we chose Vesper because we're always studying there and we're constantly there and we're loyal customers. We genuinely enjoy the environment and the employees and, of course, not to mention the coffee. So when we spoke to Eduardo, he is the manager and the creator of Vesper. It is a coffee shop created in 2013, and they pride themselves on, quote-unquote, being a contemporary coffee house serving single-origin coffees and organic teas. It is a place where people talk, write, work, plan, pass time, or fall in love. Vesper prides themselves on being an environmentally responsible and ethical business. The practices that they work on correlate with their fairly traded ingredients. This essentially minimizes their ecological footprint. Now, according to the corporate citizenship model, they fall in between all three spheres of the model, which are environmental, social, and economic. So first, Eduardo, for the first part of our project, we discussed with Eduardo what type of corporation that Vesper is. He created Vesper as a C corporation, which is defined as a corporation taxed separately from its owners, based on the U.S. federal income taxes. C corps are popular with major corporations, but since Vesper is a small corporation and they try not to get taxed twice, they are considering changing to an S corporation. He first started Vesper on funding himself, which at the time was easier for the company, but now that they're growing as a company, they are now going to be considering changing to the S corporation. This means that they will not, like I said, be paying federal income taxes, and income or losses will be passed through and divided amongst Vesper's shareholders.
Next, we asked Ed about contracts. Ed said the most important contract would have to be the lease. If something happens, they have to refer back to the lease. It's their responsibility to look back at the lease and then go to the landlord if a situation occurs. For example, if something was to happen with their air conditioning, they would have to check with their lease to see if it's their responsibility to get it fixed or the landlord. The landlord is the other party of the contract, and they are currently in a standard 5-year leasing agreement with an increase of 3% on base rent each year.
So we asked Eduardo, what is the firm's most valuable type of intellectual property? So Vesper has a few intellectual properties, trade secrets. They have the drinks they've made up, and then the recipes that they've crafted. It's important for him to protect the recipes and the drinks from intellectual property theft, because the unique drinks are like the lifeblood of the business. It's what they depend on. It's what they're known for. Curiously, according to him, they don't have any trademarks or copyrights with the government when it comes to their name. Perhaps it's due to the small nature of the business, or maybe how Vesper itself isn't widely associated with the business itself.
So the next part that we talked about was the agents. And what we talked about in class was the example about 007 with, whether he was an independent employee independent contractor or an employee. So when we referred that metaphor, I guess you could say, back to Vesper and Eduardo, he said that the most important agent at Vesper was himself, the manager, and because he's not responsible for anyone else in the company. Besides, he looks over his employees, he tells them what to do, he hires them, and he pays them, and because he was the creator and the manager of Vesper, he considers himself the independent contractor and the most important agent.
The next thing is litigation. The firm is currently not facing any lawsuits, but a potential lawsuit that the firm could face in the future that is very important to the company are any liabilities. Like if someone was to get hurt or any allergic reaction from one of their pastries that a customer could get. Let's say something has peanuts in it. Ed said all their pastries do have the ingredients written down next to them in a little piece of paper so the customers know what they're getting. But if a lawsuit was to occur, because of that, it would be taken out in court. And in this case, Vesper would be the defendant defending their company against the customer, the plaintiff.
So we decided to ask Eduardo about the firm's commitment to ethics and its culture. So Eduardo's own personal moral code is to always invest in doing the right thing. So he could technically pay his employees just on tips and gratuity, but he wants them to have a stable income as tips are inherently volatile. So he consistently makes sure that they're making at least minimum wage. In the event of a day where they're having like low sales and no one's tipping, that means that money is that's making up the difference to boost him up to minimum wage is coming from his net income. Eduardo was also concerned with minimizing the business's ecological footprint. Their cold cups made from plants with biopolymer, which means that they are made from 100% recyclable material. Their stick labels are also 100% compostable, non-toxic, and made from plants. Their hot cups are fully compostable and lined with corn-based plastic. So if a customer doesn't have a drink, if the customer has a drink that they don't like, they can always return it and get a new one with no additional charge. He believes that all the customers should always leave fully happy and satisfied. He also believes that every single negative situation with the customer can be turned into a positive one, and he can entice them to come back to the store. The manager also schedules employees based on what makes them happy and what works for them. To him, happy employees mean better sales and better customer service. When it comes to addressing employee issues, he always wants to get to the root of the problem and figure out the why in the situation and what he can do to solve it. Next, we're going to show you a couple of pictures of the menu and show you what kind of intellectual property that they have on there. And thank you so much for watching. Anything can spark creativity and serve as a theme for a drink, an aroma, a dream, a flavor. Inspiration comes in many forms. Here are some of Vesper's basic coffee mixes. And here are some of their teas. The Night Tiki is one of their unique drinks, an example of their intellectual property. They are also known for a very ethical community outreach program. Thank you for watching.